Okay, so we're perfect. There we go. So we're just going to go through in this initial bit an overview of what POSTEdu is all about, what we're aiming to do, how we're aiming to do it, and who we are. And then I suppose the main kind of thrust of today is that we really want to get your input and opinions on what we're doing and how we're going to go about doing it. So we will have interactive breakout sessions. So when you registered, you kind of gave an indication of which ones you might be interested in. Feel free to be fluid and to pick whichever one you're most interested in today as we go through them, and I'll explain what those are in a moment. There will be opportunities for questions and answers throughout the sessions today. So please do ask any questions that you have. That's the purpose, one of the purposes of today. We would ask you to keep your microphone muted unless you're asking a question. You're more than welcome to have your cameras on, particularly during the breakout sessions. But as I said a moment ago, if you prefer not to be included in the recording, you're more than welcome to keep those off. So I suppose just to introduce who we are as the POSTEdu team. So you might recognize some of these faces from the excellent work that's done with FORT. So we have Dr. Letitia Rattore, Dr. Helena Hartman, Dr. Madeline Pownell, Dr. Thomas Rees-Evans, and myself, Dr. Karen Mafienko-Sakar. So the POSTEdu team is led by Dr. Letitia Rattore, and the project is funded by government or by funding from NWO. So I suppose to begin with today's session, before we go into any more detail about what we're doing, we wanted to kind of touch base with all of you first to see what ye think about when you think about the idea of teaching open research. So we want to pose this question to you that you can see on the screen here, which is what comes to mind when you think of teaching open research. In order to answer this question, we're going to ask you to engage with a little bit of additional tech. So we would like you to use Mentimeter software. You may or may not be familiar with this. If you're not, if you type in your browser, oh yeah, some people are already in there. So type in your browser just menti.com. You'll be asked to put in a code, which you can see at the top of the screen there, and then you can pop in your response. So you can do this on a different tab on a browser, on your browser. You can also do it on your phone as well. So you just go to menti.com and type in the code. And we will be using Menti quite a bit today, so you can keep that tab kind of ready for the next activities. So this is great. So we've got things around transparency, equity, methodology, replications, the why of open research, which is always really important. This is brilliant. We'll give people a few more minutes to pop them in. And collaboration, history. Okay, this is brilliant. So we're going to be talking about lots of these things today. In fact, I think nearly all of these things today in our different breakout sessions. So this is fantastic as a starting point. So I suppose the things that we have on the screen, oh, and there's still more popping in, all relate to various different aspects of teaching open research, the ways in which we do it, the why we do it, and then what actually goes into it. So this nicely sets us up, I suppose, to kind of give you context to the POSTEdu project and what we're aiming to do with it. So I'm going to pop into the next slide. So yeah, that's great. Okay, so to give you a little bit of an overview and a sense of what we're doing and why we're asking you what you think about teaching open research, why we're even kind of thinking about it and talking about it. So I imagine I'm preaching to the converted here, but we know that informing kind of students and early career researchers with the skills to engage in open research practices is absolutely fundamental to provide that kind of foundation. And educators are best placed to actually provide these skills, the value and the knowledge of open research. So for students and for early career researchers, it's their educators who are helping to guide them in understanding what open research is, why it's important, and how to do it. And this is great, except that we know that educators need support to be able to do this well. So I'm sure you're probably familiar with different open research courses that might be targeting students, early career researchers, and so on. But there is currently a lack of training and a lack of support for those who actually want to teach open research or those who want to incorporate open research into their teaching in some way. So For this reason, the POSTEdu project was born to try and address this gap in providing support, providing training, providing a resource and a framework for educators to incorporate open research in their teaching and learning practices. So the aim of the POSTEdu project is to design and develop a pedagogically informed, evidence-based, self-guided program for supporting the teaching of open science. So this will be an open access, self-guided course that will provide that framework and provide those resources and skills and supports for educators to incorporate open science in their teaching. The program, the plan is to include 3 modules for educators who are interested in teaching open science through a positive, participatory, and inclusive lens. So the 3 modules, and we're going to talk about these in more detail in the breakout rooms today, are around the ethos of open science teaching, which relates to things around thinking about the importance of things like meta-science, transparency and reproducibility, which appeared in our word cloud a moment ago, proposed kind of improved initiatives, and then ethical considerations that might come with those. The second module relates to student engagement in open science teaching. So this is thinking about students as active members of knowledge production. So in the context of teaching in open science, it's around things like student-led research, pre-analysis plans, replications, team science, shared terminology, and then citizen science as well. And then the third of the modules is diversity, inclusion, accessibility, and reflexivity in open science teaching. And this is all around incorporating concepts of diversity, inclusion, access, qualitative research, reflexivity and positionality, as well as critical feminism and neurodiversity within teaching and learning of open science. So in order for us to develop this resource for educators in this program, we are conducting the POSTEdu project in 3 work packages. So the first work package aims to identify challenges and opportunities that educators face when incorporating open science into their teaching and mentoring. So this event forms part of this work package, and we're very grateful to all of you for joining us today to help us identify some of these challenges and opportunities. In the second work package, we're going to take what we've learned from all of you and from our additional work to develop a self-guided program for guiding educators. And then the third work package involves disseminating the program, eliciting user feedback, and then engaging in sustainable revision. So today really represents the beginning of this project and engaging with the broader community of educators and people who are interested in being educators of open science, and really engaging with you all around that first work package kind of objective to identify what are the challenges and how could we be doing this well, and what should we be doing and incorporating in these kinds of programs. In terms of how we're kind of going about doing this, we do have team structures, which we would like to bring your attention to. So I've introduced you to the core team a moment ago on one of the earlier slides, but we also have, I suppose, different kind of subgroups within this. So I suppose to acknowledge everybody who's a participant here at the launch event. So participants at the launch events are everybody here. So those of you who are participating and contributing during the launch event, including during the breakout sessions. So all participants will be acknowledged in the self-guided course and any reports that we produce as a kind of an amalgam group of participants at the launch events. There are more active roles that people can take if they wish to. So we will be establishing focus teams. So the focus teams will include educators who are interested in serving as consultants. So it's more of a consultancy role. In module development, we imagine that there will be about 3 to 5 of these focus team members per module. And these people will be included as contributors in the self-guided course in line with the credit taxonomy. And then the development teams are kind of another level again in terms of their engagement. So these are educators who are interested in actively helping to develop the modules of the self-guided course. So this group differs a little bit from the focus teams. So those in the focus teams act in a more consultancy capacity, and those in the development teams are a little bit more hands-on. And there'll be about 2 to 3 of those per module. And again, they'll be included as contributors. At the end of the session today, we will be giving you information on how you can express interest to join either the focus team or the development team or both. So we will come back to that at the end of today, and there will be opportunities if people are interested in being a little bit more involved in the project. So what we are going to do now, and I had said 25 minutes, but I've done 15 minutes because you always speak faster than you plan to. So that'll give us a bit more time possibly for continued discussion. So we would now like to invite you to speak a little bit more in depth about the 3 different modules and the 3 different topics that we're proposing to include within the POSTEdu program. So as I said, these are the ethos of open science teaching, student engagement in open science teaching, and then diversity, inclusion, accessibility, and reflexivity in open science teaching. So we should have 3 breakout rooms that should be available to everybody now. So I think, Helena, you're setting those up for us.
Yes, they are already open and people should be able to see them if they click on breakout rooms, and you can self-select, I think. Yes.
That's perfect. So please take a look at the 3 different topics. You'll get much more detail about what's involved in each of those when you meet with the facilitators in each of those groups. And please just self-select to join one of those breakout rooms now, and we'll come back together then as a group shortly.
And I think we can stop recording.
Yes,
now.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a bit slow in my reaction. Give me a second.